Hi, this is Scott, and I'm going to be doing a demonstration on how to use Origin Live Chroma coloring to color the zirconia. First of all, zirconia is not made all alike. Different companies use different zirconia material, which will make some dense. It'll just change the way it colors. So with Origin, they sell their products as a system, to where they know what zirconia they're using, they know the process, so that all stays the same. So your liquids will always be the same coloring. Other manufacturers, we've done tests on some zirconia stuff from China, and sometimes we get a great batch, and sometimes we will get a not so great batch, so it wasn't consistent, and that'll change your colors, and your colors won't be consistent. So with Origin, they get the same suppliers. It's a Toso from Japan. They're very strict on what they get. It's a top quality material, so it's going to be the same. So you're not going to get those variations. You can use this coloring liquid with other than Origin Life Plus zirconia pucks, but like I said, different zirconia absorbs the color differently, so you will get a different effect. But one thing about the Origin Live Chroma is it comes in 3 different concentrations, a 60, 70, and 80. So if you do use your own different zirconia and things come out light, you can always go down to a 60, which is the darkest, and 80 is the lightest. If you use Origin Live pucks, the 70 works great for that. So it gives you the opportunity to change. And also ovens. The length of time the zirconia is being sintered and also the temperature will change the color. It'll be consistent, but you might get a little darker or a little lighter. So depending on your ovens too, you might need to change the concentration of your dipping liquids. And like I said, it comes with all 16 of the color shades, and also we just came out with the 3D master shades, which comes with all the 3D shades plus the OM1, OM2, and OM3, and we also have a bleach one, which is a little lighter than the OM1. So that covers all that stuff. And we have the incisal enhancers. We have 1, 1.5, and 2. 1.5 we use mostly for the everything but the A4s and B4s and C4s. We use the 2 incisal. It adds a little bit more blue-gray to it. And then the 1 is for your bleach shades. And I'll show how that's done in a little bit. Basically, you have the puck, you mill it out, and then you will smooth off the connectors, cut it out, smooth off the connectors. Use a carbide burr or diamond disc, however you need to do that. Then you make sure that it's clean. So you dust it off with the brush, and then usually use some high-powered clean air line and just blow the dust off. You don't need to ultrasonic these. You don't need to preheat these or steam them off or anything like that. You can give it a good dusting and then blow it off, and you're good and you're ready to go. So first off, use the incisal enhancer. And this is designed for the dipping technique, which I'll show you, but we also have labs that also do the painting on, where they just paint on like maybe 1 layer of the whole thing, then 2 layers over the bottom half, and then a 3rd layer over the gingival to give it that great gradient. But that's what the incisal enhancer is for, so it'll block out when you dip it, the incisal half, so it's a little faster process. Just take a number 1 or 2 brush this pretty fine, and you just paint over the highlighted area, or the incisal areas. You just go through the ridges. Anywhere where you want less chroma and more translucent look to it. And over the incisal 3rd. I kind of feathered on. You don't want a straight line across, so you kind of just blend it in a little bit. And it's not going to give you an exact line like if I just did a line. It'll blend in a little bit, but this just makes it blend in a little bit more. Let me put some on the marginal ridges. And then I go through and I put 1 more coat on the cusp tips, just to really make those a little brighter. And that's how the regular one is. And from here, you're ready to dip. Let's do a C1. And these are the Zir jars by Black Diamond Innovation. They have pop-up lids with the colors, so you don't take the lids off. Because there's condensation that builds up on these, and if you take the lids off, it gets all over the workplace, and you can cross-contaminate your other crowns with it. So you basically just take it, and with the origin light material, just dip it for 15 seconds. And it's not time sensitive, so if I left it in there for a minute, it's going to look the same color. It will soak in 2/10 more. For 15 seconds, it soaks in 1.2 millimeters in both sides, and in a minute, it does 1.4. And for that 45 seconds, it's not worth my 2/10 of an extra soak. So when you take it out, we usually just blot it with a paper towel. Just use a tissue. You don't have to get it totally dry because it'll dry on its own really quick. Or you can take an airline, clean airline, and blow it off. Whatever you want to do. And then from this point, you put it margins up into the firing tray. And I'll show you what the Chroma inhibitor, the green stuff, is for. When you have a bridge, this mass of zirconia will absorb more color when you dip it, and so this will be darker than the abutments. So we have a blocker, which you paint this on before you dip it. You go ahead and do the incisal enhancer over all the occlusal. In those areas that you didn't do the incisal enhancer, you want to paint on the blocker. Just one. On the molars, I usually do like 1.5 coats. Just because it's a little large on the bicuspid, I'll do 1 coat. And on these thin ridge laps, I usually don't try to paint those because it's really thin, so it's going to absorb less anyway. So those areas are really thick. And then from here, you just dip it straight in to whatever color, not to this, but whatever color. And with these Zir jars, the color dipping jars, they come with a silicone mat. What this does, first of all, I've dropped them many times, actually pulling them out of here, and I drop them, hit the glass, and then they'll break a margin. This acts as like a little pad, so you won't get those margins broken. And also, after time, sediment will build up at the bottom of here. It's just excess dust that you usually don't get out. That sediment will go through these little ridges, and your crowns won't be sitting in the sediment. I have seen that affects the color a little bit if there's too much sediment down there. And also, you don't have to throw out your liquid as much because your crowns aren't sitting in stuff in the bottom. And this is also from Black Diamond. It's a sorting mat. It's made out of silicone and has all the 16 classic shades on here. And so when you're doing a lot of them, you basically just pull them off. We write on with a little red pencil what the shade is, and you can just put if you have all A1s, maybe a couple of B2s, just so you can do it in a little bit more efficient manner. And it's padded, so you're not going to break any or chip any margins on it. So that's the basically what we're doing. And then as far as the sintering trays, like I said, we put the margins up because they will. When zirconia sinters, it shrinks before it actually gets to the translucent stage. So if your crowns are coming out and you're wondering, oh, they didn't shrink right or something like that, if it looks good, then it shrunk all the way. Because I did one for, it was just as soon as it got to 1500 degrees, I just pulled it out and it looked like a piece of plastic, but yet it still fit the margins. So that's just a little tip if you're wondering if your stuff's being sintered all the way or it's shrinkage. If it looks good, then it shrunk all the way. And also, if you're doing a big bridge where you have the shrinkage connector, you want to dip it in a shade lighter because the more zirconia, for whatever reason, the more it absorbs, the darker it'll be. So usually anything with one of those shrinker connections, like four or more units, dip it in a shade lighter. You're better off that way when it comes out. You're not stuck with a big bridge that's too dark. And one thing about this liquid is when you're staining glazing it, it will, if you run a vacuum on your glaze, when you're doing that, it will become like a quarter shade to a half a shade lighter. So origin or B&D actually came out with a stain and glaze fritz that doesn't use a vacuum, so you can be more consistent. Because every vacuum, even though the same kind of vacuums, it might pull a slightly different vacuum, and the vacuum will pull out some of the color, and so it'll appear a little lighter. So they've eliminated the need for a vacuum, so you get more consistent from lab to lab to lab to oven with your colors. But if you do have one that it comes out of the sintering oven and it's like a half a shade or a quarter shade too dark, you can actually run it under, I use the Ceramical 3 cycle, which I think runs 1760 degrees Celsius with full vacuum, and it'll actually lighten your restoration a little bit. But I think that's pretty much it. You can get the jars at zirjars.com, and they have kits with the mats, and also Origin CAD Cam is where you can get the Origin Chroma liquids along with incisal enhancers and Chroma inhibitor. But if you have any other questions, you can feel free to contact me or put a post underneath this video, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.